I was having a conversation today, and I feel like I want to work something out with you, okay? Push, pull, and pause. I, after leaving this conversation, we had talked about being in a season of push. And when the push doesn't work anymore, when you're simply just out of capacity, you don't have it in you anymore. What are you to do? Like, how are you to move forward? And then when you're in a season where you feel like you're being pulled, where you don't feel like you have much control and things are kind of like happening around you or to you, you're overwhelmed. What are you supposed to do then? And then being in a season, this we didn't talk about this, but it's what I've been thinking about since the conversation. Being in a season of pause. And oftentimes how when we're in the push, and we know we need to be in the pause. It's how we get kind of siphoned into the pull. Is that every situation? No. There are some things in life that just life be life and life happens, right? Around you, for you, to you. That's real. But what would it take for you to pause? And why are we afraid of it? What is it about pausing that's so scary to us? There are many moments in my life, and if you're watching this, whenever you're watching this, hi. I hope you're doing well. My name is Jordan, and I help people prioritize rest, joy, and care in their lives. There are many times in my life, the way I got to being like a rest coach was not resting and feeling the pain of burnout and how it impacted me mentally, emotionally, physically, relationally, professionally, feeling that burn hardcore. And yet, there are opportunities to pause beforehand. And we kind of talked about that yesterday. Don't skip those speed bumps, right? I always say yesterday or tomorrow as if anybody's watching these in order. Maybe someday somebody will, but this will find you when it finds you. But what is it about the pause that's so uncomfortable? What does it look like to be in a season where things are on pause? And I think I give most of my anecdotes are like driving related, swimming related. Most of my references are Drag Race and Golden Girls too. So go with me for a moment here. When you are in water, if the only constant is change in life, think of the currents of an ocean or a river or a moving, natural occurring body of water, right? A lot of times people try to fight the tide. There's a point in your life where you are trying to fight the tide and you are trying to act as if you are just as strong as the current. You can will things, and there's nothing more humbling than life reminding you that what you do have control of is so much smaller, so much smaller than reality. I think oftentimes we think that we're like the main character of not just our own movie, but like everybody else's movie too. And we're not. We're not. That's not a bad thing. That doesn't make you any less special or important. It means that we're all just human. Sorry to break it to you. But what does it mean to float? So I think I mentioned in another video taking swim classes again in 2020. And I had this class where I was like, what is it with the training they do at this Y? Why are the lifeguards who teach these classes so daggone wise? Because I had my first like swim class teacher, as an adult, she said something the day that we learned how to float. And she said, learning to float is learning to surrender to the water and trust your body to support you. And I remember being like, that's cute, that's nice. And she looked me dead in my eyes because I was really I was struggling to let go. I was struggling to surrender. And she looked me in the eye and was like, if you don't learn how to trust yourself, you're never going to be able to float. And I just remember being like, I had goggles on and I could just feel myself like water, like I was crying and I was like trying to like open up the goggles to like let my tears out. Class ends. I have another classmate who's in another lane down in the deep end. And I'm in the shallow end just trying to practice floating. And so I'm on one of the ends of the pool. So I have the wall to hold on to, and I'm just trying to hold on to the wall because in my mind, I'm like, if I let go, some seismic shift is going to happen. And like, I don't know, something scary will happen. I can't see what's underneath me. I don't know what's coming in front or behind me. All I can see is up. And if I let go of this control, then like something very bad could happen to me. I could be very vulnerable. That's what was happening in my body. And so I'm just like, come on, I trust that you can do this. I know that you can do this. And I eventually get to a place of just like letting my hand, like I'm holding the wall to just, my hand is on the wall to eventually letting my hand off of the wall and floating. And that big scary thing that I thought was going to happen didn't happen. But instead, this sensation came over my body of freedom. I felt the water held me up. My body was able to relax. And when you're tense in the water, you tend to sink. But when you relax, you float. And I was crying. I'm like on my back, like crying because that sensation I don't know what it triggered, but it healed something in me to feel supported by something I couldn't see, being in something that's like stronger than me, bigger than me, could low-key kill me, but like trusting it enough to hold me up. Not having certainty, feeling the sense of fluidity, maybe you can relate, but it healed something in me to just be able to float. And so I want to bring the same thing to you. What would it be in your life right now to not push, to not be pulled, but to pause, to like really honor that speed bump and pause? We are in a very bleak time. I know people have thrown around the word unprecedented and all this other stuff. We're in a time of ending and beginning. We're two separate words, but they're really just different ends of the same spectrum, right? It's really not the end nor the beginning. It's just the transition of things. And we don't know what the new thing is. We don't know what the beginning is. History allows us to see what a clear ending is and what a clear beginning is, but being present in something, you don't get that often. I think a lot of people are fighting this, trying to fight this overwhelm, trying to fight this call to slow down, because it feels like more than ever, instead of slowing down, we need to be speeding up. We need to be like getting this stuff done. We need to be like knocking. And I get that as someone who's incredibly progressive, as someone who gives a damn about people, gives a damn about our most vulnerable communities. I get that. And it seems antithetical to say at the point where you feel you need to be speeding up, you actually need to be slowing down. But I want you to think of prior major historical moments and before entering into them, you can look up the history of Juneteenth. You can look up the history of the Haitian Revolution. I'll leave that there. For the girls that know, they know. For the ones that don't, you will. Prior to these resistance movements, prior to these revolutions, prior to the changes that come through, there's something that sets the tone, that allows people to get the perspective necessary to recognize, like, this isn't going to be done in a day. It's not going to be done in a year. Likely won't be done in 10 years. And it's not going to be done alone. We need each other. All of us, we need each other. This happens with us communing and communicating with one another, us being in conflict with one another, but being resolved to come to a solution to keep up this advocacy, right? If you are trying to rush through that, you're going to have a haphazard result. We need to be able to sustain what's to come, is the point I'm trying to make. We need to be able to sustain our energy. We need to be able to sustain our communities. We need to be able to sustain our hope for what's to come. If you don't learn how to slow down now, you will speed run through this next part and burn yourself out to the point where you can't contribute anything. Respectfully. So learn to take those cues and to pause. Learn to float. Float or tread water. Here's another swimming metaphor. So that first set of classes was in 2020, and then like the pandemic happened, like the pandemic like officially started. I don't want to say started, but like lockdown stuff. Well, I live in a state that didn't really lock down, but measures started like a couple days after the last class. And so it was years before I got back into the pool, and that was starting last year. So I took a couple classes. I think I took 2 classes, and some of it was just getting acclimated back to being in the water, but doing my, not my breaststroke, doing my front crawl, doing my, God, what is it called? It'll come to me later, girl. It's irrelevant. But doing the one where your head's in the water and you're alternating breathing, that one. Doing that, it took me a while to get used to it. But I went back again at the beginning of this year. Was it the beginning of this year? Yeah, it was the beginning of this year. And had another really, really, really great teacher. And she said, because I was so frustrated that like I would try to like cut through this water real fast, but I wasn't pacing myself. Like I was really struggling to pace myself in the water. And I thought it was like a size thing, but I saw people who were my size, bigger, like who were able to get through the water pretty seamlessly, but they'd managed to figure out their pacing. And maybe that's importance of the pause, is to figure out your pacing. But I'd like really struggled to figure out pacing, like really struggled. And she told me, she was like, well, you can do this part of swimming, but at the same time, you also know how to tread water, Jordan. So if at any point in time you are struggling, or like you think like, oh God, I can't go on and I need to take a break, tread water and start again. The pause is important. In many ways, the pause is the point. The pause allows for us to regulate our pacing, see where we're going, see what improvements we've made, right? To look back and to reflect. But if we don't pause, we can't pace ourselves. And more than anything right now, everybody is dealing with the news of multiple genocides, is dealing with less money in their bank account, money is tight, is dealing with fear and anxiety that's getting normalized that shouldn't be normalized, is dealing with an encroachment of what feels like your rights and your existence and your artistic expression because of a lot of like tech that we don't necessarily need right now, right? A lot of things are in disarray and disrepair and crumbling and falling apart. That's why I made the first video of saying, like, let it fall apart, babe, for you personally. Because to be able to fix our outer world, we have to sit in our inner world. How are you going to contribute to humanity if you cannot contend with your own? If you can't make peace with your own? How are you going to be amongst other people and like delegate or be a part of resistance, revolution, whatever that looks like for you, if you can't even talk to your neighbors? If you're not even building like coalition building on a local level with people face to face, if you're not dealing with the ways that like you're afraid of judgment and the way that you communicate and the way that you want to work on that. Do you see what I mean? Like to be able to fix the outer, you got to heal the inner. And you can't do that till you pause. And I'm not trying to yell at you. I'm not trying to lecture or preach at you. I'm really just trying to encourage you to recognize that the pause is the point. If it feels like pushing right now is like not working and you are like afraid to let go, that is the exact moment that you're supposed to. Pause, float, tread water. You're going to be okay. But for this next chapter, not only of your life, but this next chapter of human history, we collectively have to reflect on the inner to be able to build something in the outer world. So what are you afraid to look at if you pause? What are you afraid is going to happen if you pause? What are you fighting in that pause? Give that to yourself. It's time. Remember, you can't pace if you don't pause, and the pause is the point.